Hello, friends. This is going to be a video on changing meters. So we're going to work through a couple of steps and a couple of exercises to understand how to conduct in changing meters and how to negotiate rhythms in meters that change from bar to bar or every couple of bars. So if you stumbled upon this video and you're not in my class, we are using the Berkowitz, Fontrier, Kraft, Goldstein, Smaldone New Approach to Sight Singing 6th edition. We'll get to the book in just a minute, though. What I want to do first is to work through a couple of little exercises. So as I said, we're going to be working on changing meters. Here we go. And what I'd like to do first is just sketch out a little exercise of a series of meters to sort of count through. So let's say 4-4, 3-4, 4-4, 5-4. So what I want to do first is just go through this very simple sequence of meters. Let's treat this as if there's one bar per time signature. So we'll sort of establish ourselves in 4-4, and then keeping the beat and the tempo the same, we'll switch the number of beats that are in each measure. So I'll do this once with the sheet up, and then once I'll turn the camera back on myself. So we'll conduct 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Just like that. So if I switch back to myself, remember this is a bar of 4, a bar of 3, another bar of 4, and a bar of 5. So we'll conduct all together. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. So easy enough. Let's try that same pattern 2 bars per measure now, just to make sure we're really comfortable. So 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 3, 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 5. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. So simple enough. Let's add a layer of complexity. What we've just done in class before this is we've been working with odd meters, right? Unbalanced meters like 5/8 and 7/8. And I think that these are actually a really nice way into thinking about conducting in different meters. So let's change things up a little bit. Let's say that we have, I'll use line notation here. And let's say we'll have 2 bars of 4-4, 2 bars of 7-8, 2 bars of 4-4, and 2 bars of 5/8. And just to make this really clear, let's put some note heads in. I find it easier starting off to make the final 3/8 notes the long part of the 7/8 bar. But let's switch it up so that we have a little bit more of a challenge in the 5/8. And we'll put the longer beat first, the 3 or 4 the 2. And this is designed to get you thinking about how to be flexible with your beats. So as we're changing between 4/4 and 7/8 or 5/8, the 8th note is going to stay constant. So in other words, if you're thinking about 4/4 as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it's easy to switch to 7/8. So that if I give you, say I'm starting here, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the 8th note is the value that ties all of this together. So let's try counting through this. I'll show you on the page, then I'll switch the camera and we can conduct together. So count through this with me in 8th notes. Ready? And 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So the 8th note value stays the same, and that's really what you lock into. And you draw on the fact that you're already pretty comfortable with juxtaposing 2 beats and 3 8th note beats. So now let me switch the camera and I'll conduct through this with you. Remember, it's 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 7, 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 8, with the 3 going first. Here we are. So 1, 2, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's how this goes. You can feel free to go back and loop the past 90 seconds or so as much as you need to in order to practice. With that being said, though, let's go ahead and move on to an example from a book. So if you want to pull out the textbook, page 257. As you're getting comfortable with an example like this, I'm going to say to first sort of try to go through the sequence of meters and meter changes. The most important one to kind of make sure you're on top of is this change to 5/8 here in the middle. The rest of it should be very straightforward. So let's first count through what we have here in number 209. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So pretty straightforward once you get past that 5/8, which even that should be comfortable for you. So feel free to pause for a moment, make sure that you're fluent with this set of changing meters, and then we'll go through and perform this rhythm. All right, so 209, I'll give you 4 beats, and then we're right on the beginning here. We'll take it through to the end. 1, 2, ready, and ta, ta, ka ta ka ta ka ta ka ta, ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ka ta ka ta ta ka ta ka ta 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 ka ta ka ta ta ka ta 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 ka ta ka ta ta ka ta 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 ta. Sorry, I was ever so slightly late there, but you get the idea. We're sort of going through here, and it's a little bit more challenging once you throw the beats in here, particularly that switch to 5/8 is just a little trickier. Let's look at one more exercise before we do another example. I lead us into this by using the odd meters, because I think that's actually a little bit easier than working directly with 6/8. If you think about the way that we conduct these different time feelings, simple time and compound time, when you have 2/8 notes as your beat, as in 4/4, versus 3/8 notes, a compound meter, where you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So your eighth note stays the same, but your conducting beat, instead of occasionally throwing in a 3 with all of your 2 beats here, your beat actually has to change. So what we do, if I were to alternate, let's say, 2 measures of 4 with 2 measures of 6/8, I need to be a little bit more conscious of establishing that 3/8 note beat, that 3/8 note conducting pattern. I need to be a little more conscious with establishing that it's not just an extension that you can feel one long beat within a 7/8 measure, but it actually becomes the prevailing meter for a little while. So you have to be a bit more careful. If I were to do 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 6/8 alternating, we'll go something like, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you can feel free to rewind, make sure that you're really comfortable with that. I'm now going to try to do this for you silently. So I'll count us off, but we'll just conduct together, because that counting eighth notes is a little bit of a crutch that I want you to be able to work past and get through, and try to change this metric feel without counting out loud. Count in your head. So we'll do the same thing: 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 6/8, 2 bars of 4/4, 2 bars of 6/8. So 1, 2, ready, and. So on and so forth. You can kind of keep going from there. So again, practice that if you'd like to. And let's go back and do another example. If we go back to the textbook, you'll notice that example number 210 includes some 6/8. So even maybe a step trickier than what we were just doing, since we get into it from a 7/8 bar. But the way that it's written, if you look, 2 plus 2 plus 3, just like we had been doing before, and that 3 kind of previews the pulse of the 6/8. So if we work through this example, I'll sort of highlight each measure for you as we go. Let's work through conducting it first, or just counting at the eighth note level. So 1, 2, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That one's a little bit trickier, throwing the 5/8 and the 7/8 bar in there. You have to look very quickly that this is a 3 plus 2, and this one, I assume the easiest way to count it is a 2 plus 2 plus 3, the way those 16ths are all tied together. So practice that if you need to. Pause for just a moment. Let's try going through this one all together now. I'll give 1 bar of 4/4 for nothing, and then we're in. So 1, 2, ready, and ta 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 ka taka taka ta ta taka taka ta taka taka ta ta taka 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 ta taka ta ta ka taka ta ta ka taka ta 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 taka 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 ta ta ka taka taka ta ta taka taka ta ta ta. So that 7/8 bar at the end is especially tricky to make sure that you're feeling the 1 and 2 and 3 and ta ta ka ta ka ta ka ta 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 ka ta ka ta ta ta. So try 210 again if you need to. And then I'd like you to go ahead and try 211 on your own. So this lesson, just to sort of recap, has been about navigating your way through odd meters. And the trick to this really is thinking about the eighth note pulse as something that stays constant. We often don't think about that when we're working in 4/4, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, but the way that you can sort of translate very directly is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2. And that kind of helps you to navigate these meters very fluidly. The next level of sort of mastery, though, is going to be to eliminate that stream of eighth notes in your head, to just kind of feel it and to be able to work at the beat level where you're having, beating 2 eighth notes or 3 eighth notes and getting really comfortable in kind of fluidly changing between those. So what I'd recommend is to take a blank piece of paper just like I was doing. In fact, I'll show you one more time. We'll make a sort of challenging sequence of meters here, the last exercise for this video. So we had our initial example. We had this example that uses a stream of meters. And now I'm just going to come up with a big combination and we'll count through it all together. So I'll also post this sheet on the course website so that you can look through this on your own and you can conduct it outside of this video. Let's change things up first by starting in 3/4 rather than 4/4. And let's jump right in to 6/8. Still 6/8 notes, but felt in a very different way. Then we'll let ourselves relax with a little bit of 4/4. Let's do 7/8. And then let's do 5/4, which is pretty new in the class, but is a nice one to throw into an example like this. We'll give ourselves some 4. Let's have a 5/8 measure. Back to 4, 6/8, 2/4, and then we'll end with a 4/4. So if you need extra practice with this, you can do exactly this. Just get out a blank piece of paper, write out random sequences of time signatures for yourself. And that's a really useful practice to get comfortable with this. Then you can take it to the next level. You can actually write them out like this and maybe compose rhythms for yourself, because really getting comfortable with the rhythms that are going to happen in different kinds of meters will help you to be more fluent with this. So let's count through this one and then we'll call it a day for this video. 1 bar for nothing. Go. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So feel free to go back over that if you were just counting, rewind the video a couple of seconds and go ahead and do some conducting with it. Then if you want some extra practice, you can go through the book's examples to 11 to 12. They ramp up the challenge nicely. We'll look at these when we're back in class all together. And you can also challenge yourself and test yourself by creating new examples, writing rhythms right in them instead of just counting through them. And finally, for the added challenge, try to start one. Create an example for yourself that starts maybe on 7/8 or starts on 6/8 and challenges you to transition back into the other one. So for example, if I were to draw a line here and start on 6/8, I might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And you get the picture. It can be a little bit of a challenge if you start yourself on 6/8 or start yourself on 7/8 and then have to kind of fall into the regular meter. So one thing you might want to do if you don't want to write all these out for yourself, just pick any random time signature within this little stream and start there and then loop back around for as much practice as you need.